journalism.
Hello and welcome to Arrive Alive program with me, your host, Womba Weyeke. We are discussing road safety in Zambia, and today we are addressing the safety of vulnerable groups in public transport systems. As you may be aware, many people depend on public transport on a daily basis. And certain groups, such as children, the differently able-bodied people, and the aged, as well as expectant mothers, face a lot of challenges in our society. So what should be done to ensure the safety of these groups? I'm joined in the studio by the Chief Executive Officer for Public Passenger Transport Cooperative, Mr. Sydney Mbewe. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for inviting me to this important program, and hello viewers.
And on my far right is the Public Relations Officer from the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, Ms. Rachel Chako. You're welcome to the program, madam.
Thank you so much for having us. Hello viewers and hello Womba.
Thank you. First things first, kindly tell the viewers about your organization and also the mandate of your organization.
The Public Passenger Transport Multipurpose Cooperative was formed in 2018 as a reaction to the challenges that we recognize many commuters were facing in the public transport, and we felt prudent that as a sector we should be able to bring government to acknowledge some of these challenges that people were going through in terms of them accessing public transport. And we have been working very, very closely with government and other key stakeholders, which include the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, to come up with the most acceptable way in which we can introduce safe public transport for all groups within our communities. Now, part of the reasons we started introspecting ourselves is that we found out that we are very exclusive in the way that we are providing public transport. There are people within our communities that could not and still cannot access public transport. And these are people that have got various challenges in mobility. So we have come up with recommendations as an organization, which I think we'll be talking through in the program, on how we feel we can improve public transport to include everyone without leaving anyone behind, but making sure that everyone arrives alive to their destinations.
Thank you very much. Ms. Chako, what is the mandate of your organization, and how are you intending to actualize the Arrive Alive campaign?
Okay, thank you so much. The Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities is under the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. Most of the times when we hear ZAPID, most people think it's an NGO or some association, but no, we are under the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services with a mandate, and we're established under the Persons with Disabilities Act number 6 of 2012. Our mandate is to plan, promote, coordinate and administer services for persons with disabilities. Under the same act, we are given the function to work with various organizations, and this is why we're here, the Road Safety Trust and the PPTC with Mr. Mbewe. Thank you.
Mr. Mbewe, how does your organization intend to actualize the Arrive Alive campaign?
I think in our studies, which we have undertaken a lot of studies within the public transport to just see how best, or which would be the best avenues we can use to improve public transport. As you are aware, public transport was liberalized in 1991 as a solution to beef up the United Bus Company, which then was outstripped by travel demand. And the government felt too prudent at that time to say they liberalize it from state-owned to private-owned. And we, as a sector, did then receive that as a very, very proactive step that government had taken, because the results then were seen overnight. Now, when the public transport sector was liberalized, the people that invested in public transport sector went for the cheapest modes of vehicles that they brought on the market. So there is no investor at that time that bought a bus. They all went for cargo panel vans. Now these are vehicles that are manufactured to carry cargo. And we bought these, and the classification even on importation indicated that these were cargo panel vans. So because they were cheap at source, they were also cheaper on duty. Those that had the money or access to money thought it prudent for them, for business reasons, to invest in the cheaper models. Now, when these were brought into the country, they were locally modified into public conveyance vehicles, which did not meet the specifications of public conveyance vehicles. So one of the concerns that have come up is that of safety and comfort. Now, if a cargo panel van, which right now we have the common ones, which is the Toyota Hiace, is involved in an accident, because there was no engineering that was attention that was put to that vehicle's modification, the accident rate in that vehicle is almost 99%. Now, a lot of people, I think including yourself, would not dream of using public transport. Reason being that you are subjected to the most uncomfortable ride that you would want to expose yourself to. So if your salary can afford you to get a vehicle, we have seen most people get just their own vehicle so that they can move comfortably, they can move with time. Now, with all these vehicles coming into the country, there is no vehicle that has been imported with a person with disabilities in mind, or any vulnerable person in community in mind. That is one. Pregnant mothers don't have a safe space. Mothers with children don't have a safe space. The persons with visual impairment, because they always move with an escort. There is no accommodation for them to ensure that they get that fair pricing. So they have to pay for two people. So leading to them to just walk. Now, for them walking, joining the pedestrian stream, when they don't have the sight, already creates a danger for them. Because there's times that they'll need to do something and the guide is not there. And because they think they are familiar with the route that they take, so they'll do that. So people with that use wheelchairs don't have accommodation on buses. So our study goes beyond that, where we have looked at people of faith. Like, you'll never find a Muslim woman on a bus because their faith cannot allow them. There are women that have been traumatized in their lives through certain experiences like rape. And the last thing they would want to do is sit next to a person that has. So what we have recommended to government is bring on board reforms that will introduce buses. One, that will be clearly a bus that is manufactured as a public conveyance vehicle, because then it will have the comfort, it will have the safety. That will respond to you, not to drive your car. Because that again is a safety issue, where we have this oversubscription of cars that are on our road, resulting from the mode of transport that we are using. We have also recommended that these buses should have clear accommodation for women, pregnant women, women that have got children, and also for persons that are using wheelchairs. So these are some of the innovations or the things that we are doing to ensure that we actualize the Arrive Alive campaign as a sector.
Ms. Chago, in your view, who are the most vulnerable groups in public transport system, and why do they face such challenges?
Okay, so when we look at vulnerability from the disability point of view, these are groups of people that cannot participate in society on an equal basis with others. For example, if I cannot see, I cannot do what a person is seeing can do. If I'm on a wheelchair, I'm limited. So these are the vulnerable groups that we look at when we look at it from a perspective of the disability sector. So when we look at accessibility and public transport, it's really been a challenge Mr. Mbewe has already alluded to the fact that our vehicles on our roads do not have enough space to accommodate a wheelchair. Even when I get on this public transport, yes, I find a space. Is there any person that would speak to me if I'm deaf with sign language? No. Okay, let's say I can't hear. Is the conductor or the bus operators able to help me? No, they're not. So our people are facing numerous challenges. And with this initiative that Mr. Mbewe has alluded to, I think it's going to be perfect in that we'll not only have this accessible transport, we're going to have the operators as well trained to accommodate the vulnerable groups, especially persons with disabilities.
Mr. Mbewe, many bus stations in Zambia are not accessible to differently abled people. What steps can be taken to ensure accessibility?
I think the first issue that we should look at is were these facilities established as bus stations? The answer is clearly no. If you look at the Glima Tower, it was initially a car park. If you look at the city market, it was initially a car park. The only bus station, only facility that was created to resemble a bus station is the Lumumba bus station. But even then, it was not created with all these challenges that are expected for commuters to face in the way that they designed and implemented that design. So clearly, it shows that the facilities that we are using as bus stations right now do not have the prerequisite facilities for persons, for even all commuters that use, including persons with disabilities. Like we have where people line up to wait for the buses or for the bus that will come to the front. But does that facility have anywhere where there's a ramp for a person with a wheelchair to move on? Is there any guide that will show a person who's visually impaired? Is there any messaging there that will show a person with a visual impairment to say, in case of they want to get say, a bus to go into Challenge and they are new in that station? Is there any facility or any information that they'll be exposed to? So clearly, all these are missing in terms of providing adequate facilities for people that are using, including even able-bodied people, those that are using the facilities that we are using now as bus stations. So we have continued to modify from the buses that we are using, we have modified. To the facilities that we are using, we have modified to suit that situation. So we have not moved again from what we have modified, what do we desire to achieve? So we have not moved. So for us, we have sat back and said we are satisfied with the buses that, the vehicles that we are using as buses. We are satisfied with the facilities that we are using as bus stations. So clearly that creates a challenge for commuters, especially for persons with disabilities.
Any addition, Ms. Chako?
I think just to add on what Mr. Mbewe has mentioned, I've noticed one public vehicle that I won't mention the name, which would drop a little bit before it starts off. I'm sure that's to accommodate maybe a person on a wheelchair or any other person with disability. And looking at it from a broader point of view, I think we didn't have persons with disabilities or vulnerable groups in mind when we were coming up with these issues. But when you look at the disability survey, we have about 7.7% of the total population who are persons with disabilities. So when you look at Zambia's population and you look at this number, it's huge. And clearly that calls for concerted efforts to make sure that our roads are not only accessible, but safe for everyone, including the vulnerable groups, and not forgetting the children, pregnant women, and the youth.
Thank you very much. We are discussing road safety in Zambia with a focus on the safety of vulnerable groups in public transport system. We take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome to Zambia News and Information Services, your media and communication hub. Need a professional space? We offer state-of-the-art studio hire for sound and film productions. Experience comprehensive news coverage and in-depth features that bring you closer to the stories that matter. Capture your moments with our professional photography services, perfect for events, portraits, and more. Looking for eye-catching visuals? Our graphic art and design team will elevate your brand with custom solutions. Host your next event with confidence. We provide high-quality conference systems and public address systems tailored to your needs. Contact us today at zanismarketing@gmail.com or call or WhatsApp 0773 809 040. Zanis TV, the People's Channel.
Welcome back. We are discussing road safety in Zambia. I have guests from ZAPID, Ms. Rachel Chako and Mr. Sidney Mbewe, who's the Chief Executive Officer, Public Passenger Transport Cooperative. Mr. Mbewe, do you have deliberate programs in your organization to address these challenges that these vulnerable people are facing in road transport?
Womba, given all the challenges that I've spoken about, it's not an easy task to undertake for us to start looking at what mitigations we can do, like right now, to give an overall accessibility to people in vulnerable situations. And when I say people in vulnerable situations, I'm talking about pregnant mothers, mothers with children, the elderly, persons with disabilities. So it's difficult under the challenges that I've explained to you, because one, we need to change from the mode of vehicle that we use to another type of vehicle. That will make accessibility something that somebody has a right to. In fact, it's a right. It's a human right to have access to public transport. So we need to change the vehicles that we're using to vehicles that people will be able to, without any assistance, because for people who are in a wheelchair, the bus will come down and the ramp will drop off and they'll be able to roll themselves on a bus. For persons that have got a hearing impairment, they'll be able to have somebody, we'll be training our drivers in the sign language. That's hence the partnership, part of the partnership with ZAPID, is to train our crew to interact with passengers. So even as they speak, there should be someone who's also trained to give sign language. For people with visual impairment, they should be able to have something within the buses. So we need to change from the silent mode, where a conductor will be silent all the way, where we keep on communicating with the passengers on how we are moving, how the trip is moving, so that they are able to visually, in their mind, be able to visualize how the trip is moving. Same way as the person that has got vision. So for women with this, so there's a lot that we need to do. So even accessibility to these buses, how do they access them? Do we use the same existing bus stations that we have? The answer is no. We need to start looking at either reforming the facilities that we have, or coming up with, but I would like to say that we are very, very happy with the systems that we are setting, because these systems are going to give a ring routing system around the city, meaning these buses will be moving around the city clockwise. One of them is to cut on time and to cut on cost. So meaning that we'll be having special facilities within those places where we are moving. Okay. So I think we'll be looking now, as we establish those facilities, that we are looking with all these issues with the help of ZAPID and other organizations at what do we do not to have the same challenges that we are facing now.
Okay. Ms. Chako, do you have any programs in your organization to address these challenges?
Okay, so at ZAPID, we have a department we are calling Accessibility or Inspectorate Department. These are officers that time and again do accessibility audits. So from time to time, and the fact that we're here talking about this, it means something is already in the pipeline. So from time to time, we carry out inspections. Usually when we talk about accessibility, we only think it's the physical structure. But here we are now realizing that accessibility is broad. It's even the information that we have right now. Is it accessible to persons with disabilities? can they be able to access maybe the road signages, the road rules in Braille and all? At the moment, I can say we're only a little bit getting there. But what ZAPID is doing is that we're doing inspections across physical structures, TV radio stations like Zanis. We are also going on the road together with the local authorities to make sure that the signage, is it are persons with disabilities able to see that, okay, this is a zebra crossing? Are we able to come up with initiatives where we can have some of the signages and rules done for everybody? When I say everybody, I mean the people that cannot see and the people that cannot hear. So as a PID, we're working together with different organizations. I've already mentioned the local authority, the Road Safety Trust, RDA. Time and again, we are knocking on their doors to see how we can better the lives and livelihood of persons with disabilities and other vulnerable groups in society. So this is what we are doing. It's part of our mandate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Mbewe, how is your organization engaging the communities in addressing these challenges?
In coming up with this strategy that I was just talking about, we have had to do a lot of study, a lot of research, a lot of interactions with members of the public for us to understand exactly what it is, what first is pertaining within the current public transport. Is it to their satisfaction, or if it's not, what exactly is it that they would want to see come on board in terms of providing a safe, comfortable, and affordable public transport that is accessible to everyone, leaving no one behind. So yes, we have done a lot of community sensitization, and for us to come up with a concept note, we have done a lot of study and research. Now we are going further to do another survey where we want to talk to people like you. What would be your expectations if you have to leave your car? What would make you leave your car? What is it you want to see in an alternative transport that would make you leave your car and still make you feel that you are still in your car? So we have these programs that we are running, and 2025 is actually a very busy year for us because we are running a number of programs which I think as a media you will be invited to witness some of these milestone programs that will be running to us to arrive to the safe public transport that will be accessible to all.
All right, Madam Chako, what measures can be put in place to ensure safety of children traveling alone on public transport, like buses or taxis, or maybe those that are traveling with their guardians?
Okay, I think first of all, we need to look at the age limit. As a parent, at what age can I allow my child to go on a bus unaided? So it begins from home. Then, as a nation, they say it takes the entire village to raise a child. Here is a child that is getting on a vehicle. As a person sitting next to them, the first thing I'll ask is, where are you going? Are you with anybody? If they say no, okay, I'll take charge. And okay, you're dropping here, you can leave. Then other than that, can we have policies, regulations put in place? Already, yes, we do, we have. But I think it calls for more sensitization so that we make our roads safe. Then the zebra crossings in schools. Are we teaching the kids about the look right? I remember when I was growing, I was told when you get on the road, you look on your left, you also look on your right, then you can cross the road. Are we still teaching these teachings to children in schools? Then also on the pedestrians that are walking with them, I'll see a child with me, I'll definitely hold their hand and we'll cross together. So these, I think, are some of the issues that we need to put in place to look out for the safety of the children at school. One, we start from home, teach the child, if you know it's an appropriate age to leave them to walk alone, teach them basic road rules. Then let's go to school. We teach them. Guys, that are coming alone, do you know that when you get here, you have to stop? What is a zebra crossing? You instruct them all this. So I think the mandate is on all of us, home, schools, and us that are meeting kids on the road. That will keep our streets safe.
Just in addition to what Rachel has said, you realize that public transport is in business. And for us, we would not want to waste time, like where you have a child who does not know exactly where they're going, and you now get an unwanted responsibility to try and see whether this child is going to be safe. So I think the way we have approached such is that when you find a child who you are not too sure they know where they're coming from and they know where they are going, they don't know where they are going, the best thing you can do is pick that child, because that child already is vulnerable where they are, and take this child straight to a police station, so that the police then will be able to locate where this child is coming from and where this child is. So we have given that responsibility to our members to say, when you find a child and you feel that child is on the move, moving somewhere, is that child knowing where she's coming from or where he's coming from? Because it could be a boy or girl child. So if you are not too sure with them being on the bus, because the most ideal situation would be a parent that will bring a child to say, I'm putting my child, so it's a handover responsibility on your bus or in your taxi. When you reach this destination, there will be someone, or here is a phone number. Can you call this someone so that they pick the child, or you tell them that you are arriving at this point so that you find them to pick this child. So for us, when that is not there, we just pick the child for safety and leave them with the police for safety. But when there's delegated responsibility, yeah, we see that that child is delivered to the right people that we're taught to deliver that child.
Okay. Mr. Mbewe, how is your organization collaborating with the Zambia Road Safety Trust in achieving the Arrive Alive campaign?
We are working partners.
Okay.
So everything that we are doing in terms of coming up with these initiatives, the Road Safe Trust is up there. They know exactly what we are doing, just like we know exactly what we are doing, because we call each other for each other's meetings and each other's programs. The reason being that we want to harmonize our approach. We don't want in a situation where like someone is building a rail line from Livingstone and I'm building a rail line from Kitwe. We reach the midpoint, the rails are not meeting. One is going the other side, the other one is going the other side. So what we found as a danger as organizations is that when we work in silos, we have our own thinking, we have our own ideas of how to arrive at what we've put on the table. But when we bring other stakeholders, they'll be able to advise, to say, or they'll also be able to think through, to say, okay, we're thinking about the same thing, but I think our approach is wrong. So you get on a round table to start discussing. We have got safety issues within but our primary mandate is to provide a service. So as we're providing a service, how do we provide safety to all those that are using either the road without getting on our buses and those that get on our buses? So with Road Safe Trust, we are active partners.
Your final words as regards to road safety and Arrive Alive campaign?
Mobility is key to anyone's life and sustenance, and people move with any means of that to push them from a point of arrival to a point of destination. So we do not need to have cities that are a threat to anyone coming out of their houses. We must create livable, walkable, and commutable cities where people are able to commute and be safe. People are able to walk, they are safe. People are able to ride their bicycles, they are safe. So we need to bring as much stakeholders on board to discuss how we arrive at that goal. So for us, I think that's one of the most important goals that we want to achieve for the country.
Right. Ms. Chako?
Okay. My final call would be to organizations, cooperating partners to come on board. Even as we are coming up with these initiatives, we need to start somewhere. Let's sensitize our people. Let's sensitize the bus operators. How do I handle a person with disability that cannot see, a person that cannot hear? How do I handle a child? How do I handle a pregnant woman? And many, many other vulnerable groups. I think together we can do much, much more. And before we close up, there's an incentive government has put in place a number of things to help us, the vulnerable groups, to make sure that they live well and at least live on an equal basis with others. For example, we have the duty-free vehicles. A person with disability is able to access this service from ZRA provided they meet the stipulated regulations where you have your vehicle come in tailored to your specific needs. And that can be done only, unfortunately, sometimes they take advantage of this and misuse, but government is really working hard to make sure that all persons with disabilities at least live on an equal basis with others. So let's take advantage of the incentives that are available.
All right, we have come to the end of our program where we're discussing road safety in Zambia. Today we're focusing on the safety of vulnerable groups in public transport systems. I was joined in the studio by Mr. Sidney Mbewe from Public Passenger Transport Cooperative and Ms. Rachel Chako from ZAPID. From me and the entire production crew, it's bye-bye for now and pleasant viewing.
Police officers, yeah, for upholding peace in our nation. We appreciate you, yeah. Police officers, yes.
We, the Zambia Police Service, shall uphold professionalism, integrity, accountability,